What is up, Steelers Nation? Thank you so much for jumping on to another episode of All Steelers Talk. I'm Noah Strackbine coming to you live at youtube.com/All Steelers Talk. Make sure to subscribe to me anywhere you get your audio podcasts and find all of my written work at si.com/NFL/Steelers. The Pittsburgh Steelers begin a weird phase of the offseason. We continue to wait for Aaron Rodgers, and we'll dive into the latest on that, but obviously at the same time, the NFL draft is behind them. Free agency is behind them. The Pittsburgh Steelers roster is pretty set in place. Where do they go now? That is the question. And while everybody's going to say, oh, it's simple, they begin rookie minicamp, and then from there, it's off to the races with training camp, the worst month of the year, where everybody's enjoying the summer, but also wishing that football had something going on, and then, well, the season's here. But it's more detailed than that. The Pittsburgh Steelers have a lot going on, a lot of decisions to make over the next couple of weeks and months. We're diving into what contract negotiations are going to be had and how they're going to look early in the process, where the Steelers are quarterback-wise and how they'll go about finishing that room if or if not Aaron Rodgers decides to come. What the Steelers should expect in rookie minicamp, we'll dive much further into that next weekend. But for right now, are the Steelers a team headed into rookie minicamp with anything to watch immediately after the NFL draft and contract negotiations that I think some will see coming, some will not see coming, and we're going to determine how each of them go down and get settled as we begin this Friday. It's a beautiful one in the Berg. I hope everybody has power at this point. I know much of the city still doesn't. If you are one without it, anything I could do to help, please let me know. I've got a big ass freezer in my basement, and I am willing to toss any food I need to into that. So just hit me up on any social media, Twitter. Hit me up on Twitter. I don't go on the others. I don't check the DMs. I try to stay away from it. Thank you guys all for jumping on to a Friday morning episode as we dive into, again, a slower part of the offseason. But let's get into it. The Pittsburgh Steelers additions are over. They have one more coming, and that is the quarterback. And obviously, it's Aaron Rodgers, most likely. If it's not Aaron Rodgers, it's someone else. We'll get to that in a second because that's not going to happen first. The Pittsburgh Steelers are waiting for Aaron Rodgers, but rookie minicamp starts 1 week today. 1 week today, I will be at UPMC Rooney Sports Complex covering the Steelers rookie class for the first time this season. Pretty excited to do so. Obviously, all eyes will be on Will Howard and what he can do with a black and gold uniform on, but there will be much more going on. They have a ton of rookie tryouts. Obviously, they signed, I believe, 7 UDFAs that are going to try and make this team by the end of the season. There are names to watch. There are positions to watch. There are, I think, key elements to get early excitement going around. And again, it's early. Rookie minicamp is 3 days with no pads on, where the Pittsburgh Steelers say who impressed us enough to stay, who didn't, who we keeping around. And to be honest with you, if you are here as a rookie tryout, it is very difficult to make a roster or to get that acceptance, that invite to OTAs. Sometimes there's a veteran. Jonathan Ward was that guy last year. But a lot of times it's people coming in, hoping for a shot. They don't necessarily get it because there's not much going on there. But we do head to rookie minicamp, and I got 3 names that I want everybody to keep an eye on. These names will get bigger, and none of them are Will Howard. We'll dive into Will Howard here in a moment. But for right now, these names are the early, immediate after the draft. These guys excite me. There are reasons to keep an eye on them. There are reasons to start understanding who they are and maybe rooting for them a little bit because they might have a place on the Pittsburgh Steelers roster in 2025. We're going to start on the defensive side of the football with Sebastian Castro. The Hawkeye safety is a stud. And I'm sorry, but there were a lot of guys that went late in the draft that I were very high on at the safety position. Castro is one of them. I was stunned that he did not go off the board in the 6th or the 7th round, but the NFL draft fell very oddly. I did not expect many positions to fall the way that they did. Sebastian Castro being a UDFA and the Pittsburgh Steelers making the phone call to say, yeah, dude, come replace Ryan Watts, come be the guy that competes behind Juan Thornhill, and maybe you get a place on the roster as the fourth safety special teams guy. Hopefully you can play some sort of slot nickel position, put you at the dime backer if need be. That is possibly your role. Sebastian Castro comes away with 14 tackles for loss as a safety. That is impressive. That's a guy that knows how to hit, that could time the run, that is a sure tackler, and that's what I like the most about him. He also had 3 sacks and 4 career interceptions, and I'm okay with that because those 4 came in the last 2 years of his career, which means that his ball skills are getting better. I look at Sebastian Castro immediately as a dude who, of the UDFA class, he's the guy that stands out. Everybody's going to talk Rock Taylor. Everybody's going to talk the big splashy positions on offense. My guy is Sebastian Castro. If I had to guess of any of the UDFAs that make the roster, he would be the guy, simply because the Steelers don't have a surefire thing as their final defensive back, no matter where it is. And if he could come in here and prove he's a quality special teamer, a dude to come and be behind Juan Thornhill, Minkah Fitzpatrick, Deshaun Elliott, and earn his place on special teams with Danny Smith, I like what he brings. I like his ability to read the run, and I like his ability to play the ball late in his career. Sebastian Castro, to me, is a name to watch. He's the name to watch, but I think the guy who the Steelers have highest on their list is a fullback. And that is crazy to say, but you know how exciting it is when the Pittsburgh Steelers get a stinking fullback. They signed DJ Thomas Jones out of South Alabama to the largest guaranteed contract that they have ever given out to a UDFA. And that is, I mean, that says something. It's $30,000. That's not a lot of money in the NFL, but the Pittsburgh Steelers, they don't give out money to UDFAs. It was a couple of years ago, a corner out of Michigan State, I forget his name, I wish I remembered it, that they gave $25,000 to, guaranteed, largest guaranteed money they've ever given to a UDFA, and everybody lost their minds. This dude's going to make the roster. He's the future. Can't believe they did that. They see something in him. Corner's hard to make. Corner as a UDFA is very difficult. Beanie Bishop's a dude who, I mean, when he signed, you saw it immediately that this dude has an opportunity. But if you don't see it immediately, chances are they're not going to progress into that as a UDFA, as a corner. A fullback's different. Nobody's drafting fullbacks these days. Fullback is a dying breed on the offensive side of the ball. And if the Pittsburgh Steelers see DJ Thomas Jones as the guy, I mean, the Steelers got a fullback, and it's not Jack Coletto. It's not Connor Hayward. It is a real honest to God fullback. And the Steelers have been looking for a fullback. Ask Kyle Juszczyk, who got a pretty decent offer from the Pittsburgh Steelers before he returned to the San Francisco 49ers. The Steelers are ready to have one. Arthur Smith had one in Tennessee, and Reggie Gilman, dude was a stud. Well, he'd probably like to have one back now to lead the way for Caleb Johnson, to lead the way for Jaylen Warren, to be able to utilize another blocker in the run game that I think works so well. That is where the Pittsburgh Steelers are. And to be very honest with you, I'm all about DJ Thomas Jones. He's 6'2", I think 240 pounds, something like that. Big dude. He played tight end at South Alabama, but I don't think he's a tight end. He's almost always been a blocker. Doesn't have the stats to say he's going to catch the football much. The Steelers are looking at him as an athletic runner. Put him in the backfield, make him a fullback. $30,000 guaranteed is nothing in the NFL. You get UDFAs every year that get $250,000, $300,000 guaranteed. The Pittsburgh Steelers said, here you go. Here's 30 grand. And we're going to look at you pretty promisingly and potentially give you a pick, give you a shot right off the bat as we move through our UDFA class. That is small. 7 guys is almost nothing in the NFL. And then I got a third one here for you. This dude is a rookie tryout. He's the only rookie tryout that I think I have my eyes on that I look at and say, I don't know, man, maybe just too impressive not to look at and say, maybe it works out. Hollis Mathis. He's a Whitfield product. He is the only player in Division I history, I believe, across the board to finish with over 1,000 rushing yards, 1,000 receiving yards, and 1,000 passing yards. That is what this dude does. He plays quarterback, wide receiver, and running back. And I'm sorry, but that's too much talent to not say, screw it, let's try it. Let's see what happens. This dude's a phenomenal athlete. That's what he is. He's not a quarterback. I would imagine he works as a wide receiver in Pittsburgh as a dude who's just trying to make the team. I like him over Rock Taylor. I like him over the wideout out of Indiana. I like Mathis Hollis. I think if you could give him a shot and say, this dude's got some promise, I mean, he could be the next John Rice Plumlee. That's who he's going to be. He's going to be the guy that's just super athletic, who's a good locker room guy because he played quarterback, so he knows how to lead a team. Worst case scenario, you toss him back there and say, throw the football once or twice. Let's see what you got. But Hollis Mathis is a dude who, oh man, dude, I think he's going to be an absolute stud in rookie minicamp, which is very difficult to be a stud at. It is it is the most boring camp imaginable. You go there, you watch dudes do position drills for 3 days in no pads. It's not great. I think he's got an opportunity for the Steelers to just look at it and go, yeah, we can't not invite this dude to OTAs and minicamp. We can't not add him to the 90-man roster. Like, there's just too much behind him to not give him that opportunity. I mean, if he's fast enough to make it happen, if he's the dude who could just play every position and whatever, he's got to be big enough. I don't know how big he is these days, but if he's big enough, oh man, I'm a big Hollis Mathis guy. Fun fact is, everybody knows I'm a Madden addict, big Madden guy. A couple of years ago, I used to get real into the finding draft classes on Madden, and I always used to draft this dude in the 2026 draft class, somewhere in that ballpark. And Hollis Mathis was a quarterback who was he was a cheat code. He was never the first pick in the draft. You could always get him like the 4th round, but he was a cheat code. He was ridiculous. Never had any idea that he actually existed. I thought he just was out there. Well, he's real, and he's coming to the Pittsburgh Steelers rookie minicamp, and he's the only rookie minicamp tryout that I think gets a real shot to make the 90-man roster and go from there. Those are my 3 names very early ahead of rookie minicamp. That's where we're at in the Pittsburgh Steelers. Is you're looking at it and going, next week, there's going to be more to talk about when it comes to Will Howard and Caleb Johnson and all that stuff. But for right now, those are the 3 names post-draft that I am really keeping an eye on. That's step 1 for the Pittsburgh Steelers for the rest of the offseason. Step 2 is Aaron Rodgers. And I know nobody wants to keep talking about Aaron Rodgers, but that's where we are. It's Aaron Rodgers. That's the guy right now where the Pittsburgh Steelers are waiting on an answer, and eventually they're going to get one, and I would imagine it comes before OTAs. That's my guess. That's my prediction from what I've been told and everything I'm hearing. Before OTAs is a good spot for Aaron Rodgers. If everything goes smoothly and as planned and there are no massive setbacks and he doesn't choose to walk away from football for one reason or another. If he is playing football, I do imagine that the Pittsburgh Steelers are going to get him before OTAs. And you could go back and look at it. And a couple of weeks ago, I'm saying my guess is the week before training camp, a couple of days before training camp. That's how things have changed. They went to the NFL draft, and I came out of the NFL draft and I just said, okay, well, I was wrong. My prediction was most likely wrong. I mean, it could still happen, but my prediction was most likely wrong. The Steelers are going to sign Aaron Rodgers. Most likely. They're most likely going to sign him. And if they do, it's going to be by OTAs. 1-year deal. Do not expect it to be crazy money. I would imagine $20 million. I would imagine it's a incentive-driven contract that says, here's $15 million and you can earn $5 million if you start every game and the Pittsburgh Steelers win this amount of games and you take us to the playoffs. Here's extra money, but we're not just going to pay you $20 million to stink. That's not going to be our that's not going to be our plan. Aaron Rodgers by minicamp. I'm feeling confident about that prediction where we stand right now. And that's the next step outside of rookie minicamp for the Pittsburgh Steelers. But nobody wants to keep talking about Aaron Rodgers. What they want to talk about is what comes next. And what comes next is TJ Watt. That's when the Steelers really get into this. There's no more deuces throwing up on Instagram. There's no more upset about the quarterback situation. TJ probably has had just as many conversations about Aaron Rodgers as Omar Khan and Mike Tomlin, that he's probably been included in almost all of them. The Pittsburgh Steelers understand where they are with TJ Watt and Aaron Rodgers in the quarterback position and the defense and looking miserable and everything else. After Aaron Rodgers signs, the Pittsburgh Steelers will dive very heavily into extending and figuring out TJ Watt. And they're going to get a deal done. There is absolutely zero part of me, literally zero part of me, that thinks otherwise. I do not believe that the Pittsburgh Steelers have even contemplated not extending TJ Watt. And anybody who ever calls them about trading for TJ Watt, I would imagine even if they did make that phone call, the second that it didn't start with multiple first-round picks, that conversation ended. The Steelers would probably answer the phone to anybody, for anybody. It's what the NFL does. But at the same time, they feel very confident this is going to happen. I feel very confident this is going to happen. TJ's side thinks very confidently that this is going to happen. The Steelers have a plan in place. It's just about negotiations. And those negotiations are going to end opposite of how they ended last time. Last time, TJ Watt barged into Art Rooney's office, put his hand down, and said, screw it, give me the contract. I'm ready to play football. Who cares about the last $5 million? It doesn't matter. This time, the Steelers are going to have to show their hand and say, we'll give you Myles Garrett plus money because you deserve Myles Garrett plus money, and you are tired of hearing that you're not getting it, and we understand it. DK Metcalf signed for a massive contract. That started the motion of the Pittsburgh Steelers being able to sit here and say TJ Watt can get all of the money because TJ Watt looked at it and said DK Metcalf got all of the money. That's how it's going to go down. TJ Watt's next, and that's not going to change. TJ Watt's going to get extended. That's where we're going to go from here. Rookie minicamp, Aaron Rodgers, TJ Watt. 1, 2, 3. From there, this is where things kind of change up a little bit. Another contract extension. I'm not positive it gets done. I'm not even 50% sold it gets done. I still think there's a possibility that when it's all said and done, he's on his way out instead of staying put for the next 3 or 4 years. But my guess is that's when they begin contract negotiations with George Pickens. And they start to work their way into some sort of deal with their number one, maybe 1B wide receiver. George Pickens is not going to get DK Metcalf money. He's going to get less. He's going to get T. Higgins money. He's going to get money that looks good, but isn't as top tier as DK Metcalf and a lot of the other wide receivers in the NFL. George Pickens is probably going to get $27 million. DK Metcalf got 30. And that's where that's going to go. And that's where the issue comes in of, is it going to work? Is it not going to work? Is if the Steelers say our max is 27, which makes sense. If our max is 27 and you're looking for 30, are you willing to budge? And if you are not willing to budge, does that mean you're gone? That's how they're going to play that one. Is the Pittsburgh Steelers are not going to, by any means, look at this and say, we are going to give George everything we've got and set ourselves up in a tough position, no matter how financially ahead of the game they are because of the quarterback position. It just doesn't, it's not what the Steelers do. The Steelers are looking to somewhat change what they do, but I do not expect George Pickens to sign some massive, crazy deal. I expect him to sign a 3-year deal averaging out to about $27 million a year if he does sign a contract. But I do look at the Pittsburgh Steelers as after they extend TJ Watt, they are going to open the door for George Pickens to get a deal done. Crazy. Did not expect that to happen. But as we've gone through this, the NFL draft is where things would have changed. Now it's, okay, we'll try. We'll see if it could happen. If it doesn't happen, George is gone and we'll trade him. But if it does happen, great. It works in our favor. That's what's next for the Pittsburgh Steelers. And then they head to training camp. And I got 4 very early position battles to watch during training camp because I get it. We're heading into the abyss. It's a little bit of nothing for the next week. It's not a lot of excitement. We're tired of talking about Shedeur Sanders and Aaron Rodgers and everything else in between. And right now we're looking to just kind of lay out a game plan before we head into the weekend. I think that's the best way to go about it if you're the Pittsburgh Steelers. Well, I got 4 position battles, way too early position battles for the Pittsburgh Steelers. The first one is a quarterback battle. It's Mason Rudolph versus Will Howard. I think Aaron Rodgers starts. There's no question about it. Aaron Rodgers signs with the Pittsburgh Steelers, becomes that guy for the Pittsburgh Steelers, and is the starting quarterback in week 1. But who's going to be QB2? Mason Rudolph is a guy who came here as the backup plan. He was the dude who the Steelers have a lot of confidence in, but the Steelers love to make Mason Rudolph's life a little bit more miserable than it needs to be every single time they get an opportunity to. Will Howard's that opportunity. There is no chance that the Steelers just say, Will Howard's our number 3. That's how it's going to go. There will be a position battle. The Steelers love position battles. Will Howard versus Mason Rudolph will happen. I don't know who's going to walk away a winner. I got to see Will Howard at OTAs and minicamp before I could say anything because I had high hopes for Chris Oladokun. He walked into minicamp and OTAs, and I walked out of there going, yep, nope, that ain't happening. That guy's not going to make the roster. There's no chance. And I think I want to get that evaluation of Will Howard before I start to say, is he going to beat out Mason Rudolph? I think there's a good shot that he gets a pretty decent chance to beat out Mason Rudolph. And I think that the fan base would love for the Pittsburgh Steelers to have a rookie as their number 2 behind Aaron Rodgers and look like, hey, maybe we got a plan for the future to some degree, but we'll see what happens. Number 2 is Caleb Johnson versus Jaylen Warren because Jaylen Warren will most likely be the running back 1, but how are you going to split those carries? That's what we're going to find out in OTAs. Jaylen Warren is a stud, but he's also like 5'7", 220 pounds. And look, he is a brick. This dude is a unit. He is a muscle hamster. He's a stud. He can do everything you're looking to do. But Caleb Johnson is the future of the Pittsburgh Steelers running back position, and they are not going to hold him back if he deserves more. There is going to be some sort of not real running back competition that could decide how many reps each guy gets during the course of a game. Again, Jaylen is going to be the starter week 1 through week 18. That's going to happen. But Caleb's probably going to start getting announced as a starter next to him at some point during the season. It's a matter of how many reps is he getting throughout the year. How often is he on the field compared to how often Jaylen Warren is? I think if Caleb Johnson could come in here and be a dude and play just as well as he played at Iowa, and if he could put on the show and work Arthur Smith's offense the way that Arthur Smith hopes he could work his offense, I just think that there's no stopping this guy. And the Pittsburgh Steelers are going to get a dude and going to utilize that dude throughout the season. Number 3 is a fullback competition, and one that I am so excited for. I love a fullback competition, and that is Connor Hayward versus DJ Thomas Jones. Look, I like Connor Hayward. I think he's a good dude. I think he's got very reliable hands. He's undersized. He's not NFL size at all. He's not the greatest blocker. He can't play fullback. But where we stand today, he is the Steelers fullback. They need a real one. They need a DJ Thomas Jones. They need somebody to be able to lead Caleb Johnson and Jaylen Warren through a hole. They need somebody who's physical and a blocker, and that's what he specializes in. That's not what Connor Hayward's deal was at Michigan State. Connor Hayward was a dude who caught the football, who made things happen, who was able to utilize himself everywhere, but he wasn't a blocker. Pat Freiermuth wasn't a blocker. You're not putting 6'9" Darnell Washington in the backfield alongside Donald Parham and having 2 mammoths where Jaylen Warren can't see a damn thing in front of him. That's not going to happen either. DJ Thomas Jones is a guy that could come in here and be the fullback of the Pittsburgh Steelers. And I'm going to start it now that I am pumped. I'm fired up for DJ Thomas Jones and what the Pittsburgh Steelers could get at fullback this year. And I don't know what it means for Connor Hayward. I have no idea. I don't expect it means good things, but I do think the Steelers need a fullback, man, and they got one. And the last one for you, number 4, as we close this thing out, Roman Wilson versus the field, because Roman's not guaranteed a damn thing in year 2, and the Steelers aren't going to look at him and guarantee him anything. They're going to look at him as a guy who needs to make the roster, who needs to be able to say, okay, here we go. I beat out Rock Taylor. I beat out Ben Skoranek. I beat out Robert Woods. I beat out Calvin. He needs to make the roster. Nothing will be handed to him. Everybody's saying Robert Woods is the signing for George Pickens. No, Robert Woods is the signing for Roman Wilson. That's what he is. He's the signing that if Roman Wilson doesn't work, the Steelers have a reliable veteran to be that 4, to be that 2 on the inside that comes off the bench. That's what they're looking for. Calvin Austin's going to be the 3. George Pickens is the 2, and DK Metcalf is the 1, or vice versa, whatever. Roman Wilson's set to be the 4, but Robert Woods could be the 4 if Roman Wilson isn't that good. It's Roman Wilson versus the field. We're going to get a little bit of a glimpse into him during OTAs and minicamp, but he's got to shine. He's got to shine. The Pittsburgh Steelers are not guaranteeing a damn thing to Roman Wilson this year. He's got to earn every bit of action he's going to get. He's got to earn a roster spot in 2025. The only way to do that is to beat the field. The field's crowded and difficult. He's got to be able to show I deserve a spot on this roster. Those are my 4 position battles. We got Mason Rudolph versus Will Howard, Caleb Johnson versus Jalen Warren, DJ Thomas Jones versus Connor Hayward, and Roman Wilson versus the field. For those of you who missed it, this is the rundown of where the Pittsburgh Steelers go from here. They go to rookie minicamp, where you're looking at names like Sebastian Castro, DJ Thomas Jones, Hollis Mathis, my friend. From there, expect Aaron Rodgers to make his way to the Pittsburgh Steelers. And after he signs, they try to get a deal done with TJ Watt. If they could ink TJ early before they get to training camp, hopefully George Pickens, man, at least gets called into the office to have some sort of negotiation. His agent is on the phone with Omar Khan trying to get something done. And then they head into training camp, where you are looking at everything and everyone trying to make a roster spot. That's where we are right now, post NFL draft for the Pittsburgh Steelers. A lot going on, but also a little bit going on. We're at the dead part, the exciting part, and that just means it's time to answer some questions. We're going to finish off the show the same way I do every single day, by diving into everything you guys want to hear for the next 30-ish minutes. First, we're going to take a quick break, and I'll be right back.
Pittsburgh, this one's for you. From the voices behind all Steelers talk comes Black and Gold Apparel, your go-to for bold, fan-driven merch that reps the city, the Steelers, and everything in between. Whether you bleed black and gold or just love that Pittsburgh grit, we've got something for you. It's more than a podcast. It's a community. And thanks to your support, we're proud to bring the passion from our mics to your closets. Gear up, stand out, and show the world what real fans look like. Shop now at blackandgoldapparel.myshopify.com.
All right. Shout out to our members. Shout out to our super chatters. Can't thank you guys enough. I'm going to start diving into all your questions. So if you got them, toss them in the chat. We're going to start with a couple of shout outs. Shout out to Carl Spackler. Shout out to Macaroni Salad. Shout out to Knock. Unbelievable you guys are for gifting some All Steelers Talk memberships this morning. Thank you guys. For real. Thank you guys. Super excited. We're growing. I think we're nearing in on 250, something like that, on the memberships here. So thank you guys. If we could get to 500 memberships, man, I'm taking as much of that profit as I possibly can, and I'm giving it back to you guys. Like we're going jerseys, we're going giveaway. I got plans before training camp, hopefully before OTAs and minicamp, but life's a little hectic for me over the next month. I got some exciting news. We're going. My brother gets married in June. I'm the best man, co-best man, my other brother. So we got bachelor parties. There's this big Italian festival up in my hometown that I missed it last year because of my wedding. I can never miss it again. Shout out to Jessup, Pennsylvania. And then bachelor party and so on and so forth. So it'll be a good time After that, when things start to calm down, I got as much as I possibly can. Shout out Carl Spackler again, man. Can't thank you guys enough. Honestly, can't thank you guys enough. All right. Egyptian Roughneck. Sup, Noah? Just checking in. Yesterday marked my ninth capture since I have been in the Berg. Love this city. All hail Mason Rudolph. Let's go. That's impressive. That's crazy, to be honest with you. I mean, I don't know how you capture bad guys. I don't know. I've never experienced that outside of watching Batman, but that's awesome. That's crazy. Shout out. Glad you're doing well. Stay safe, please. Stay safe. Mason Rudolph, man. I think Mason Rudolph, my bold prediction and my sad prediction for Mason Rudolph is he gets screwed over and ends up as the QB3 for the Pittsburgh Steelers this year. But I do think that if you gave Mason Rudolph the QB2 job, he's exactly what you're looking for. And I think this is a great year for Will Howard to learn from Mason Rudolph and Aaron Rodgers, to be the guy that if the Steelers just view him as a long-term backup, which I'm not saying that's what he's going to be. I'm just saying if that's how the Steelers view him, learn from these guys, be able to come in and spot start for 4 or 5 weeks and win 4 or 5 games. Like that's what you need him to do. And if the Steelers can get that out of him, which you could get that out of Mason Rudolph could get that done for you. You are in one hell of a spot. Let's go, Mason. Look, I'm rooting for Mason Rudolph. That's my guy. I wish him nothing but the best. True professional. And I'm excited to see what he does. David, if we have a quarterback going into 2026, Will Howard, do we then trade George Pickens for a second and use it to trade up for Jeremiah Smith as his replacement? A lot would have to happen there. A ton. Will Howard would have to be the established future quarterback of the Pittsburgh Steelers by week 8, by the trade deadline. I don't know if that would happen with Aaron Rodgers being that guy. Where we currently sit today, the Steelers do not view Will Howard as the future franchise quarterback of this team. That's like, they're excited to have him. They're excited for what he could bring to the roster, but there's actually 0 people in that building that view Will Howard as a franchise quarterback. And that could change. They're open-minded about it, but they want a franchise quarterback next year in the NFL draft. That's their plan. It's been their plan the entire offseason is next year's loaded, this year get a backup. That's what we're looking at. And that stinks. I hope Will Howard gets a better opportunity than that, but he would have to be the established quarterback by the trade deadline because that's when you'd trade George Pickens. You're not going to trade up to go get Jeremiah Smith, with George Pickens' pick and start Will Howard without any experience or without any knowledge of if he's the guy. You're not going to take a shot on Will Howard being your franchise quarterback. He's going to have to actually put it into place and be like, okay, nobody could beat me. Here's where we are. And I think that's very hard to do. I don't know if he's ever going to get the opportunity to do that. What I will say is if George Pickens isn't signed by the season, there's a chance he's gone. And then next year they do try to go get somebody big in the NFL draft. And if they could make 2 trades, that would be awesome. I doubt it, but that would be awesome. But you got Jeremiah Smith. You've got Ryans, whatever his name is, out of Alabama, stud there. You're going to have some wide receivers, and that wide receiver class is going to be good too. So you will replace George Pickens if need be. Again, I don't see it happening. I don't see the Steelers trading George Pickens where we stand today. It could happen, but I just not 100% sold on it. Shout out Knock again, dude, with 10 All Steelers Talk membership. That's wild, man. That's wild. Thank you. Cannot tell you how appreciative I am of you and everybody else. Maddie, good morning. Name some of your biggest hot takes of the 2025 season. Can be for the Steelers or the NFL in general. Also, are you still doing AST calls? Would love to talk again. Yep, have been making my way through the calls. If you got them, toss them in the email. If you're a member, would love to chat. Maddie would love to chat as well. Working it through it. Didn't make calls during the NFL draft. I will be honest there. So I took 4 days off, and then I did literally nothing on Sunday. And then we started again on Monday. So shout out to you guys. Keep calling if you could. Hot takes for the 2025 season. This is a good one. All right. We'll start with the easy one. My easy, bold prediction, hot take for the Pittsburgh Steelers offense is that Caleb Johnson and Jaylen Warren both rush for 1,000 yards in 2025. The Steelers have a 2,000-yard backfield, and that's probably bad news for Aaron Rodgers. ESPN predicted he throws like 19 touchdowns. That wouldn't surprise me at all if that's the number. I don't think this is I do not think by any means, let's make it more realistic. 1,800 yards between the two. The two of them rushed for a combined 1,800 yards. The way I look at it is that the Steelers are going to run the football. If there's 50 snaps in a game, or I guess 60 snaps in a game, offensive snaps, the Steelers are going to run the ball 35 of those, maybe 40 on a good day. But they are going to run the football. Outside of that, on defense, I'm going to say hot take here. Oh, I got a good hot take. Hot take is Minkah Fitzpatrick leads the team in interceptions. I think this is the year of the bounce back for Minkah Fitzpatrick. I have nothing behind that except for the fact that I have faith at some point he's going to turn it around. Number 2 would be TJ Watt leads the NFL in sacks, wins Defensive Player of the Year because he's pissed, man. TJ is pissed. He's not having a good time. He didn't have a good end of the season. He's not happy about it. Those are my 3 hot takes. 1,800 yards between the 2 running backs. Minkah leads the team in interceptions. TJ leads the NFL in sacks. Those are my 3. You want me to go? I'll give you one worldwide here. And that is, one worldwide. What do I got for you? Oh, here's a good one. Bad one for everybody else, but here's a good one. I think the Bengals have it all blow up in their face this year. And I'm guessing Cincinnati has a top 10 pick in the NFL draft next year. That's my hot take for the AFC North and the NFL in general. Not a good one. Shout out to Michael on becoming a member. Can't thank you guys enough. Let's keep it trucking. If you got questions, toss them in the chat. Sajan, what if we did a fantasy league in tiers? Like there's a league that's all your members, B league that's all super chatters, C league that's all your vets in the chat, and D league being the whatever. Could work, would be open to it. We'll figure it out. We're going to have to dive into that a little bit. I still think Pickens is the way to go about it, but maybe I'll toss a poll in the community post with some options and we'll go from there. And that would be fun. You know what I mean? All the members and me would be in one league and then others in other leagues. That would be cool. Maybe the first, 2 leagues, 3 leagues, something like that. Get some take. We'll figure it out. There's a lot of logistics that are going to go into this. I like it. We'll talk. I'll sit down. I'll get to it, and then I'll toss it in the chat or the community post, and we'll vote on it. I think that's the move. Adam Lowe, what's up, Noah? Been a while since I've been able to catch a live. Glad that you're here, brother. Glad that you're here. Why does nobody seem to think the Colts aren't our biggest competitor for Archie Manning? Oh, I mean, they definitely are. I think it's the Cleveland Browns because I think the Cleveland Browns are going to be the worst team in the NFL this year. That's how I view them. I think it's going to be Cleveland because they don't have a quarterback and they're going to sit there at number 1. They were number 2 last year. They got literally worse. Like, they got worse. I don't know how it happened, but they did. I don't like the Browns offense at all. You lost Nick Chubb. You didn't replace him with anybody. I mean, Quinshon Judkins is good, but he's not the dude. Your offensive line is super old. Your defensive line is, Mason Graham maybe makes a difference, but I don't know about that one. And you're looking to trade guys like Greg Newsome now and get rid of other players. So the way I look at it is like, I'm all about it. I think the Indianapolis Colts are going to be a competitor. I'm all about this comment, but I don't think that they have a worse record than the Cleveland Browns. And I'll name them in order. Cleveland's my biggest competition where we stand here right now. I think the Giants are number 2. I think they're going to be atrocious. I would imagine Indy is close to number 3. And then I would guess Vegas is number 4. And then the Steelers sit 5. That's where we sit here today. Things could change, but the Steelers, I don't think the Steelers are going to end up with Archie Manning unless he's the 2nd or the 3rd best quarterback in this draft. And I have such a hard time thinking that's going to happen. Could happen. A lot of things happen in the NFL. But if he's the number 1 pick in the draft, I don't think the Steelers are going to get their way and go get him. I just don't think that's going to happen. It'd be so difficult to get to the number 1 pick for Archie Manning. You'd be giving up such a premium. I don't know if the Steelers would be willing to do that. knock with another 10, man. I think you're up to 20 on the day. That's wild. Thank you. Thank you very much. Rex 7. First, I just wanted to say I was mocking YA and Sebastian Castro to the Steelers back in March. You were. I do remember Black all the time. Sebastian Castro is a stud. I'm glad you were on that as well. I love their tape. I also feel like in the 7th round, we had a chance for John Williams from Cincy. Would have taken him over Kent, in my opinion. I like John Williams a lot. I like Dante Kent too, though. I think Dante Kent's return ability is big in what the Steelers saw there. I also think he's a more inside guy. John Williams would be a good one, though. I think there were a number of guys late in the draft that the Steelers could have drafted and competed with Beanie Bishop. I also think that they are higher on Beanie Bishop than I anticipated them being. They didn't show their hand at all. And with this draft, I looked at it and said, there's got to be a reason that the Steelers didn't go after a corner earlier, because there were options, and that reason's got to be Beanie Bishop, right? I think Kent's got an opportunity to make the team and compete. I like John Williams a lot, to be honest with you. I liked him. I think you could have got Dan Jackson in the 6th and made him a slot guy instead of a safety. I thought he played everywhere. I liked the options later in the draft. I think Sebastian Castro could be a dude who moves up as well. Like he's a run support guy. I see him more as a Mike Hilton than I do a Beanie Bishop, who's more of a ball coverage guy. But I do think the Steelers need that. I think they could get it in Castro. I don't know much about Kent. I would like to know more about Kent. I want to see it in person. You know, you could go watch tape all day, but he didn't play the greatest talent, and he looked pretty okay, but like nothing overwhelming. I'm excited to see what he could do at rookie mini, really OTAs. I'm excited to see what he could do at OTAs. But I do remember you calling him. Shout out. Egyptian Roughneck, once again, hey Noah, for every sack the Steelers get this year, we are donating $100 to a local Pittsburgh charity. Let's hit them for the kids. $100 for every $100 for every sack the Steelers get. That might be like 10 grand by the end of the year. Let's look that up. How many sacks did the Steelers have in 2024? Let's see what the number is. 40 sacks, $4 grand. All right. Yeah, let's do it. $100 for, let's find a charity. Let's do it. We'll do it early. $100 for every sack that they get. AST, we'll take it. Hopefully we got enough members by then that we're taking it right out of the membership. Is coming right from you guys to the kids, which would be awesome. But if not, we'll make it work. Yeah, $100 for a local Pittsburgh charity. Let's get some in the chat. Toss them in the community page. Let's toss them in the community page, and we'll figure that out. I like this a lot. Thomas, clowns could get Mahomes and still stay. This is twice you got me with the clowns, because I don't even see it coming. Shout out Thomas, man, with the great jokes the last 2 days. Stephen Cornfield gifting 5 more All Steelers Talk memberships. Dude, you guys are so generous today. It's got to be because it's Friday. We're post-draft. I mean, shout out to everybody working their butts off to get the city back in order. We're just coming together, man. I'm loving it. I'm loving every bit of it. My mom and my grandma are coming to town today. It's a good Friday, dude. It's a good Friday. I bought a meat slicer yesterday. And if you guys know me, I'm Italian enough. That was the best thing I've bought in years. I bought a house last year. Okay. Meat slicer, top of the list. I was immediately in my kitchen slicing some Lonza and a little bit of super sot until like 10 o'clock last night, just like eating, nonstop eating. It was beautiful. All right, let's keep it trucking. Greg, would they have made a mistake in taking Scadaboo? He was my pick at running back. I believe he went just after Caleb Johnson. I'm not totally sure on the number here. I liked Cam Scadaboo. I think he's good. I think Caleb Johnson's a way better running back. Like Caleb Johnson, in my eyes, is running back 4 in this draft class. And I wasn't the biggest Omarion Hampton guy, so I think there was an argument to be made for 3. But my 4 in this draft was Ashton Genty, Omarion Hampton, Trey Henderson, and Caleb Johnson. And then it went guys like Quinshon Junkins. I think RJ Harvey and Cam Scatterbo were like right there, neck and neck. Dylan Sampson, I thought was a stud. I liked Scatterbo. I think he's got a lot of wear and tear on that body that makes me very nervous, but he'll die on the field, bro. He'll die like he would, and that's who you're getting. And I love that. But I like Caleb Johnson. I think he's a stud. Hey, Noah, glad to finally catch the pod live. Happy you survived the storm and your coaching tree is alive and well. But I still got to ask the real question. Can Debo, Cam, and TJ 3 verse? Oh my gosh. Best question we've had all week. We have brought the gorilla talk into all Steelers talk. What a question, my friend. Thank you. 3v1 versus a gorilla. Debo, Cam, TJ. Look, if you're going to put 3 human beings up against a gorilla, because the 100 human beings are going to beat a gorilla, no doubt about it. Look, maybe 30 of them die, and that sucks, but you knew what you were doing getting into this. By the end of it, the gorilla does not have the stamina to withstand 100 humans. It's not going to happen. Humans are, I don't get the fist to fist. No chance, bro. No chance. There are rocks and trees. I'm using something to hit this gorilla. I'm not just going to run into it. Like, what is that? What do we even do? How did we get? I'm just going to be a human sacrifice running into the front of a gorilla? No chance. Debo, Cam, TJ, 3 versus 1 a gorilla. I think I don't know if there's enough there. TJ, Debo, Cam. Let's just toss like Mean Joe, Jack Lambert. I think Jack Lambert alone could probably do it. Kevin Green, Greg Lloyd. If we just put all the psychopaths of the Pittsburgh Steelers defense throughout the times into one versus a gorilla match, I think there's a fighting chance. 3 versus 1 might be tough, but I love the question. Broderick Jones, personally, I love the Jack Sawyer pick in the 4th. Will he continue to be Captain Jack, or do you expect a new nickname at the pro level? I like Captain Jack. I think it'll be Captain Jack, but I think he's going to have to earn Captain Jack. Like, that's the thing, is you're not going to get any nickname in Pittsburgh until you earn it. You don't get Spencer Anderson don't have a nickname. Montravius Adams didn't have a nickname. Isaiah Loudermilk is just Milk, but that's the easiest one in the world. That's just because nobody wants to say his full name. You need to earn the nickname. Captain Jack would be tough to keep. I'm not going to say it's impossible, but I think it would be tough to keep. I think the Steelers would hand him something. It's not me, though. It's TJ, it's Alex, it's Herbig, it's Cam. Those are going to be the guys that hand out some nicknames. Captain Jack's going to be tough, man. Maybe Will Howard tosses out in the locker room like, yo, Captain Jack, and then it sticks. I don't know if TJ and Cam are gonna be okay with that. So we're gonna find out. That will be the first question I ask during OTAs, though. Easy. I'll walk right up to Cam. Yo, Jack Sawyer's nickname's Captain Jack. You're the captain of the football team. Are you allowing that to happen? I'll get an answer for you. I like that. Thomas, do we know when we will get the rest of the rookie numbers? Do you think we'll lose the North, and why is it Cleveland? I don't know when. It should be by the end of this week, or I guess the end of next week. Before rookie minicamp, they'll have numbers, but they got Derek Harmon here. I would imagine everybody has a number. They just haven't, unless they already assigned them, which they might have. But if I missed that, or if I get 7 billion news things a day. My brain's all over the place. If I did miss that, or if it's happened and I'm just not remembering it right now, I believe it'll happen certainly before rookie minicamp. Here's the thing, though, is that none of these numbers are set in stone until after training camp. Guys can go right up until 2 days before week 1 to say, I really wanted this number, but this dude's on the team. If he gets cut, I'm going to take that number. So don't go buy jerseys yet. Maybe Derek Harmon, but don't go buy jerseys. It's early to buy jerseys. If you get a guy like Caleb Johnson gets number 2, then I would guess he's going to keep number 2, but don't be buying a Will Howard jersey if Will Howard's like number 17 or something. That could change. It could definitely change. All right, let's keep it trucking here. Making sure I'm not missing anything as we're going through. I'm looking for the gorilla. That's where we left off here. Somehow the Rizzler got brought into this chat. What a day we're having. What happens if Skylar Thompson beats out Mason Rudolph? The story ends. That's what happens. The Mason Rudolph and Pittsburgh story comes to a close, book shut, as Skylar Thompson, QB4, beats out Mason Rudolph. Oh man, dude, I don't know. That's a tough one. I don't think it would happen, but I mean, that would be the end of it. That would be the end of it. Oh, I also forgot to answer this for Thomas. I apologize for this one. Who do you think will lose the North and why? Is it Cleveland? It will be Cleveland. I just don't think, look at shout out Kenny Pickett, man. Joe Flacco ain't going to win you more than 5 games. Shadur Sanders ain't that guy. And Dylan Gabriel definitely ain't that guy. That should have went in reverse order, but that's where we're at. Cincy will be my number 2 pick, though. Cincy will be number 2, unless the Steelers stink, which I just have a hard time believing they're gonna, but we'll see. Rec 7, start, sit, cut. Oh, Darnell Washington, Donald Parham, Connor Hayward. This is actually much tougher than it seems, because you have to look at it and say Darnell Washington's the starter. Donald Parham is 28 years old. Like, he's done this before. He's not that good of a tight end. He's your last tight end on the depth chart. But Connor Hayward's your last tight end on a depth chart. Like, Connor Hayward's not going to another team and impressing. This is the difference. Parham is a traditional tight end. This dude can block. He's a big body. He brings what you're looking for at the tight end position. Connor Hayward could catch any ball thrown his way. He's got the best hands outside of George Pickens on the football team. Hands down. Better hands than Pat Freiermuth, better hands than Kenneth Gainwell, better hands than DK Metcalf. Connor Hayward's hands are insane, but he's 5'10", and I just don't think that's going to. I have such a hard time thinking Connor lasts his entire rookie deal and some, but he's still on his rookie deal. I would go start Darnell Washington. Personally, I would go sit Donald Parham, cut Connor Hayward, but I think the Steelers would do it the other way around. That would be my guess. Sticking with it, Noah, do you think it would ruffle any Hayward feathers if they released Connor? Yes and no. It wouldn't sit well in Cam. I think the plan would be to keep Connor through Cam's final 2 years. But, or I guess he only has this last year, but I don't know if it's going to make too much sense, you know, and at the end of the day, everybody realizes it's a business, and that's what has to happen here is it's a business. Now, they'd keep him on the practice squad. You know, Connor's not going anywhere unless he signs somewhere else. They want to get rid of him like that. I think it would ruffle a little bit of feathers, but I also think everybody understands that the NFL is a business at the end of the day. That includes Cam Hayward. Pittsburgh Hornets, if Mason wins a playoff game, would you shave your beard into a dark Mason goatee? No chance. No chance. That is where I will go mustache all day, but I will not shave a goatee. That will not. I do not ride motorcycles. I used to ride motorcycles. I do not. I take that back. My dad used to ride motorcycles, and I used to think it's cool to go around the block in my buddies. But I do not rock goatees, man. I am not a devil in disguise. It ain't me. You can pull it off, bro. I can't. I got too much scruff. It would not look the same. It would look curly and weird. Curly and weird. All right, let's keep it trucking here. Make sure I'm not missing anybody. I don't know what this one means. Noah question, one, did they getting Toss that one back in there because I am curious to what she means. Carl Spackler, in regards to Will Howard, I will say this. The difference between a Jordan Love and a Justin Fields is Aaron Rodgers is an Aaron Rodgers mentor. No. I hope so, but I think maybe, just maybe. But I also think that those are 2 first-round picks, and Will Howard's a 6th, and you gotta bring that into account. You have to bring that into account. Pittsburgh Hornets, what would need to happen to not draft a quarterback in round 1 next year? Uh, Will Howard would have to start more than half the season and lead the Steelers to multiple playoff wins and be the reason that they've won. That's the only way. And that's not going to happen. The Steelers, unless they are guaranteed Will Howard is a superstar in the NFL, will not pass on a quarterback next year. And anybody sitting around hoping that they pass on a quarterback next year because of Will Howard, you are just postponing the eventually find a quarterback, because maybe Will Howard is the dude, but why would you not want options? Why would you not want good options? So that would be what would happen to not get a quarterback in round 1 next year. Nate Moore, Noah, if you had to root for another team in the NFL other than the Steelers, who would it be and why? The Denver Broncos and the Green Bay Packers would be my 2, because my dad is a Broncos fan and my brother is a Packers fan. I've always kept an eye on both. You'll catch me. I don't watch. My thing is, during the season, it's so hard. You're so encaptured by the Steelers and everything happening that it's very hard to pay attention to the NFL as a whole. That's why I'm so bad at fantasy football. But I will always keep up and keep track of both of those teams, because, when I call my brother, on a Sunday night after a game or something, I'm not going to be like, oh, the Steelers did all this stuff. He could care less. I'm going to talk Packers, and we're going to break that down. Those have always been my 2 teams. William, bold prediction. Rodgers signs. Mason gets a minor injury in camp that puts Howard in front of him. Rodgers gets injured in the first game, and Howard comes in and takes the team to the AFC Championship. Big Ben, number 2. Look, I'm not going to keep crapping on Will Howard because I hope that he turns out to be a stud. So I'm just going to leave that one rock as a bold prediction. Noah, question 1. Here we go. Question 1, did they get any O-line to try out? 2, what if Skylar Thompson or a QB they bring in beats out Mason? Not saying it would happen, but what if? So just explain the Skylar Thompson thing. The only other quarterback they'd bring in that's a veteran is maybe a Will Levis, maybe. I don't think it's going to be a Hendon Hooker, but maybe a Hendon Hooker. Probably a Carson Wentz would be the guy that I had to predict. That would be my guess. I just don't think, maybe there's a possibility, but I think the 3 that they want is Aaron, Mason, and Will Howard. Now, as for the offensive line, they brought in some dude out of Montana, Deluche or something. I don't remember his name off the top of my head. He's an offensive guard. I don't know. I don't have any expectations for him. We'll see, but I don't have any expectations as of right now. That could change, and he could show up and be a stud, but I got to see him in person because there is no tape of Montana, whatever the other name is. I don't think it's Deluche, but I think that's an ice cream flavor, but it's got to be something. Tej, once the Steelers pay TJ Watt, how do they plan on working around the amount of attention he gets that limits his production late in seasons? That's a TJ thing. TJ's been working at it all offseason to be able to rotate to both sides and play both sides of the football. That's always been TJ's downfall, is he's very comfortable on the side that he's at and he doesn't want to change. He's working to make that a thing where he'll play both sides just as effectively and be able to dominate on both sides. That should cure up a lot for the Steelers defense. Having Derek Harmon helps. Having a truly great defensive line will help, but that's the big one, is TJ Watt. Blessed Light would love to see Arch pull an Eli next year if the Browns try to draft him. Oh, that would be so awesome. I mean, I wouldn't rule it past him, to be honest with you. I don't think anybody wants to go to Cleveland. That is where quarterbacks go to die. It's where they've always gone to die. That has not changed. I mean, they're going to kill 5 of them this year, and that's crazy. So that would be awesome. If it happened, I would guess it's because Indianapolis is number 2 and he wants to go to Indianapolis. That would be my guess. Broderick Wallace, who is your favorite Steelers pick of the 2025 NFL draft? That is Caleb Johnson and remains Caleb Johnson. I love Caleb Johnson. I think that dude is an absolute monster of a running back. He does everything you need him to do outside of pass block. He's not the greatest pass blocker. He's got incredible vision, some of the best I've ever seen. He is a stud. I'm a massive Caleb Johnson fan. Number 2 would be Derek Harmon. Number 3 would be Y.E. Black. I think those would be my 3. Let's keep it trucking here. Michael Crow, who is going to be in the middle of our line to begin the season on defense? It's going to be Keanu Benton. They kind of said that. Keanu Benton should not be playing nose tackle, but he's going to be playing nose tackle. I would imagine by the end of the season, Y.E. Black is playing a lot of nose tackle, but for right now, it's going to be Keanu Benton. It'll be Cam Hayward, Keanu Benton, Derek Harmon. Those will be the 3 in the middle. Egyptian Roughneck, hey Noah, last one, August 5th, I'm participating in a charity boxing fight, which I will be boxing. I may be a bounty hunter, but I'm all about the charity work. That's sick, actually. August 5th is, I hope, a Saturday. That would be awesome. It's a Tuesday, which is even better. Let's see. Shoot me an email. Give me the deets on this. Let's see how I can help. I'm always down to help. I love charity, man. I'm a big. I think that's the only reason that Cam Hayward actually ever liked me is because I walked up to him one day and said, "Yo, dude, how do I donate to the Hayward House?" And we've been cool ever since. So shout out, man. That's awesome. That's awesome. Stephen Cornfield, no. What about a Survivor League? I like Survivor Leagues. I think Pickens keeps everybody involved. Survivor League would be cool. And then we'll fit again, that's another good one. Let's work it. We got months to workshop this stuff. So let's workshop it. Let's get it together. And I like it. I like that as well. All right, let's keep it. A lot of Browns trash talk this morning. That's awesome. Say the Steelers landed 16 next year. What's the cost to move to 1 or 2? If you're going to get a quarterback, 3 first-round picks minimum. That's what you're giving up. That's what it takes. That's what it takes. The Jacksonville Jaguars moved up 3 spots, gave up 2 first-round picks. Excuse me. The Steelers would have to give up more, significantly more. You're not getting up to 1 or 2. That's the thing at the end of the day. It's just you would have to give up the house. You're giving up 3 first-round picks and some if you're trying to give up to 2 or 1. That's what's going to happen there. Grayson the Ginger, hey, Noah, what is the best game you've ever attended? As a fan, the best game I ever attended was Syracuse Duke basketball game at the Carrier Dome. Jabari Parker was playing for Duke. I think Scoop was playing for Cuse. Jabari hit a 3 right at the end of the buzzer. I'm a Syracuse guy. I was a Syracuse guy. And it was just it was the craziest game ever. The College Game Day was there. We were there all day celebrating. It was a great time. That would be it. I think that's hard to pass up. I do. I think that one was hard to beat. Nate Moore, assuming this draft class works out, what does next year's draft position needs look like? Easy. Quarterback, corner, a guard, because at some point you're going to have to replace Isaac Seumalo, and a safety, because you need some youth at safety. That would be the 4. Those would be the big 4 for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Maybe a wide receiver if you're not keeping Calvin Austin, but quarter, corner, safety, guard. Those would be the 4. Easy. That's it. That's what the Steelers have left to fix is they need a quarterback. They got to find a corner to replace Darius Slay and be the long-term guy next to Joey Porter Jr. Isaac Seumalo can't play forever. He's got to retire at some point. You're going to have to replace him. Maybe tackle if Broderick stinks. That bumps right to the 2nd on the list. And a safety because I don't know how long Minka or Deshaun Elliott or anybody else sticks around as we continue to kind of move through the what ifs of the Steelers secondary. To be decided, Enigma. Noah, do you agree with the popular topic that the 2011 draft is the greatest of all time? Also, I'm not sold that next year's QB group is better than Howard. Agree that we should draft a quarterback battle in 26. I look at everybody's got their opinion. I get that everybody's really high on the, like, they're excited about Will Howard. I'm not gonna say anybody's wrong. Everybody's allowed to have their opinion. I am in the side of this year's draft class at quarterback was terrible and is going to prove to be terrible. And next year's quarterback class is probably 15 times better than what it is. Like, that's how drastic of a change. It's Kenny Pickett's draft class compared to the draft class after it. That's how I'm looking at it. 2011, damn close. I also think that Ben's draft class is pretty phenomenal. There's a couple. 2011 is the one I remember, though. I don't really remember Ben's. 2011, I remember it, and I think that is the best draft class I've ever seen in my lifetime, and I don't think it's close. All right. Keeping it trucking here, making sure. Darian Miller, bold prediction. Caleb wins Offensive Rookie of the Year and becomes better than Derrick Henry. Caleb is a monster. I can't agree with you more. Cannot agree with you more. Offensive Rookie of the Year? Sure. I'm not going to rule that out. I'm really, really not. 52 Chris Boswell's versus a gorilla. Look, Boz is awesome, man, but he's a skinny dude. I don't know. That one would be much tougher. I think. I agree. Very much tougher. All right, let's keep it trucking here. Maddie, how does Tomlin go about deciding who is QB1? Is there like a competition or just how they are doing during training camp? If Aaron Rodgers signs, there is nothing. It's Aaron Rodgers is QB1, end of conversation. He's not going to sign here to be a QB2. He's not going to sign with the Steelers to be a backup. He's not going to sign to have competition to be the starter. He will be the guy. If Aaron does not come and it's Carson Wentz versus Mason Rudolph versus Will Howard, then it'll be an open competition. He'll have somebody that he believes is going to be the guy and win that battle. But more than likely it'll be an open competition between the three. If I had to guess, that guy would be Mason Rudolph. But that's how it would be. I think right now Aaron Rodgers is not going to have competition. It's going to be a competition for quarterback 2. And I still think the Steelers are going to look at it and say Mason's got a leg up in the competition, because that's the thing. Again, the Steelers do not view Will Howard as their starting quarterback. There's no thoughts of that. So unless that changes, which it could, but where we stand right now, they're not having that conversation. All right, making sure I don't miss anything as we head out of here on this Friday. Do you think the rookie will take over as running back 1 mid-year? I think it'll continuously be Jalen as the starter, but I think the split will start to lean more Caleb if he continues to go to improve and do the things that I expect him to do. Big news coming out of the NFL today. The NFL is getting their own city jerseys. That's super awesome. Everybody needs to start designing them right now. I'd be about it. All right, let's keep it trucking here. Oh, all right. Good one. We'll finish off with this one. First off, 3 AFC championship games for Will Howard as quarterback 1 on Madden. That's awesome. I hope that's what it is, man. I hope that's what it ends up being. We'll end it with this one from Eshell. Where do you think the team stands on Calvin Austin's future? Good one. I think right now the Steelers view Calvin Austin as a 4th-year guy who's entering a contract year. and is expected to be a dude who takes a significant step forward. Now, he's not going to get contract negotiations this summer. It'll be next year. And if he plays well, they'd love to keep him. They love Calvin Austin. They think that he's very incredibly gifted. It's just about finding how to utilize that gifted talent. I don't think he's ever had a quarterback to be able to utilize it. And I think, Russell Wilson showed that he's capable of doing these things, that Calvin's capable of doing these things, but that the Steelers aren't built to do them. And they're hoping that Aaron Rodgers is the guy that could fix that. They'd like to, if Calvin Austin's cheap enough, they'd like to keep him. That's, they're not going to look to replace him. They don't view Roman Wilson as like the stud that's going to come in here and push Calvin Austin out. They simply look at it and say, Calvin Austin is the dude, the wide receiver 3. This year's got to be a good year. And next year, depending on his price tag, they'd probably try to keep him. His price tag's probably $10 million maybe a year. And if that's the case, the Steelers will sign him and they'll keep him for another 2 years. That's what'll most likely happen with Calvin Austin. All right. Golf this weekend I'm MF tired. My mom, and my grandma are coming to town, and because of that, we trucking. All right. All right. Just making sure I didn't miss anything. With that said, I'm heading out of here. Thank you guys so much for jumping on to another episode of All Steelers Talk. Make sure to subscribe to me on YouTube, youtube.com/All Steelers Talk. And at the same time, go hit those audio downloads. Apple Podcasts, we got, at this point, we're moving to 4.5. I want to get to 5.0 by the end of the year. Appreciate you guys for that. And as always, you can find all my written work at si.com/NFL/Steelers. It's supposed to be rainy and gross and classic Pittsburgh, but look at power's coming back on slowly but surely throughout the next couple of days. Hopefully everybody can continue trucking through it. Shout out to everybody working to get it back to normal. And at the same time, I hope everybody enjoys what is coming this weekend. Stay tuned. We'll be back on Monday. Enjoy a beautiful weekend in the Berg.